not knowing that whether if you come to stay a while or just passing through, this door is open to you. Come, let's be silent. Come, share love. Come, let's play together. Come, love can be love. From the this time to the turn down, from the pampered to the abused, this door is open to you. Come on in. Come on in. God recognizes the God in you. Whether you're black or white or gay or straight, Christian, Buddhist or Jew, this door is open to you.
Good morning, Claremont Center for Spiritual Living. How are you this morning? Nice to see all of you. I'm not sure what you're all staring at, but okay, whatever. It's nice to be the center of attention, I gotta admit. Happy Halloween. Thank you all for coming. I see none of you are in costume. All right, fine. Be that way. But I do see some Halloween masks. That's kind of fun. Kind of gives a new feel this year, doesn't it, to the whole mask thing? Anyway, I'm Reverend Tracy, and delighted to welcome you to this wonderful community where we come together every week, either here in the room or online. Wave to our friends out there in Streamland. And come together to remember just how good life can be, how magnificent we really are, how easy it is to feel supported and uplifted when we spend time in community with others who also want the best from life. And so welcome. Thank you all for coming. We're delighted to have you here. So this morning our practitioner is the lovely Miss Diane Clemens. Diane is our practitioner who will do our opening invocation and do a reading for us. And she, like the other practitioners, are available after service if you would like a little prayer support. These are the high watchers of our consciousness in this community, our practitioners are. And they offer their prayer and support to you on Sundays as a gift. So do take advantage of that if you'd like to get a little support or even just know a little extra truth in your own name. They're the ones you want to talk to. So thank you to Diane for being up here this morning. We also have a prayer request box up front here. If you'd like to drop a note in, we're happy to pray for you or anyone that you would like us to know the truth for. Or you can call the phone line anytime. There's a confidential message machine where you can leave a message for prayer, and your practitioners will get on that for you. We also have music today. We've got Jeff on keyboards, and he'll be playing for us. We're loving his cat. Thank you for the high note. That's good. I will not go there. All right. So let's get started, shall we? Let's take a moment and get centered. I'm going to invite you, wherever you are, to simply close your eyes and take a deep breath. And let the sound of the bowl take you into that place within you, within your own heart, where love is. For it is here in this place that we connect with that spark of the divine, that truth, that wholeness, that love, that is the essence of all that we are.
In this silence, let us all be still and know there is only one. There is only one God, one connection, one life. And from this place of perfect connection, I speak my word, knowing that peace, that calm, that joy, that divine connection surrounds us. I know that Spirit is all there is, that there is God and only God, only love being expressed here and always. It is in this love that we're with vibrant good health. We all live and breathe and have our very being in this divine love. And I know that for each one that this love goes forth from them into all that they do, into everyone they meet. I bless our Clarence and her spiritual living, and I know it is divinely guided, and it meets the needs of every member and the needs of our community. I bless our leader, our wonderful creator, Reverend Tracy, and I give thanks for the powerful message that she brings us today. Please join me in affirming all these truths as we say together, and so it is. Our reading is taken from Ernest Holmes, and he writes, "Today I rejoice in all nature, since happiness is the reason for my being, and since the kingdom of heaven is a joyous state of consciousness, and since the kingdom of heaven is here and now, today I consciously open my whole thought to the influx of divine harmony. Today I realize I am a stranger on the shores of time. I am an honored guest in the kingdom of good. Today I enter with joy into my kingdom, into the warmth and the color of living. Today I know the peace and the calm and the poise that belong to the kingdom of good, the kingdom of fulfillment, which is the kingdom of God. Today I say to myself, behold, the kingdom of God is at hand. The kingdom is my kingdom. The kingdom is here and now. My host sits beside me, walks with me, gives me wise counsel. My host advises and gently leads me down the corridors of time, till all shadows cast behind, and the golden rays of peace flood my entire being with eternal light. Today I recognize the divine in everything. I will realize that the ground upon which my feet tread is holy. The voice of truth will rise from every form of nature, proclaiming the holiness of all that is. The sun represents the warmth and the color of the infinite. Not only will the morning stars start to sing, but I will chant my hymn of praise with them, and I rejoice in all nature. And one thing we should remember today on this Halloween, that since all things are sacred, remember to bless the snake bars and the three musketeers and the butterfingers, because they are all good. And the Kit Kats. Forget the candy corn, everybody. I have to be honest, I saw candy corn and sausage, and I thought, too far. Kind of, yeah. All right, this is... How y'all doing?
and I came across a comedian's statement that all candy corn was made in 1911. I feel like it too, doesn't it? Yeah. I confess to eating it now again, but I have to say, not recently. Not recently. Although they are fun to stick in your drink, never mind. Stop. Okay. We are talking today about Halloween, so let me light a candle for all the ghouls and goblins and fairy princesses and superheroes that are going to be running around tonight, or perhaps are already running around in this room. Because you know, everybody loves a good bag of candy. So let's talk a little bit about this holiday. I'm not quite sure how we got here. Will you take pillowcases and go out and beg for candy and people actually give it to you? So let's look at how this started, shall we? 2,000 years ago. The Celts in Ireland, the UK, and part of France celebrated their New Year on November 1st. So October 31st was their New Year's Eve, or Samhain. It's the day that marked the end of summer, the gathering of harvest, and the beginning of winter. Now, the Celts believed that on the night before the New Year, the boundary between the worlds of the living and the dead was blurred. So as things come to an end and new things start, that's sort of a fuzzy place to be. And so the idea was that spirits could roam the earth, creating mischief and ruining crops and generally getting into trouble.
But it was also the day that the Druid priests could see the prophecies of the future. Because that line of time was blurred, they were able to see more clearly what might come. And the prophecies actually were of comfort to people because, first of all, it said there would be a future after the dark of winter. Because when you think about the ancient world, when the sun would go away for months at a time, not be seen, that darkness, that cold, that lack of fertility being apparent in the world was very frightening. It was death. Everything looked dead. And so this idea that there was something out there coming to us was of comfort to people throughout the winter. And so the way they celebrated this end of year and the way to keep the spirits behaving was to build a giant bonfire. And for 3 days, everybody would gather around the bonfire and tell stories and remember their loved ones and prepare for the winter and get in the last little bit of business or commerce or harvesting that they had to do and celebrate the bounty of the year that had just passed. And at the end of the celebration, everyone would take an ember from that sacred fire back to their own hearth. They would light the fire in their own home from this sacred bonfire so that they would have light and warmth and nourishment throughout the cold winter, and they would be protected. And I love this. So, it's interesting that we teach the same thing in Science of Mind. Ernest Holmes said it, of course, a little bit differently. But what he said was the spark that burns at the center of our own soul is caught from the living and eternal flame of the Spirit. And that sacred bonfire was all about bringing the light and the warmth, the spiritual truth, into the darkness that people might find comfort and safety and sanctuary. Now, Christianity built upon that holiday, as it did with most, and November 1st evolved into All Saints' Day. The night before was Hallows' Eve. Hallow meaning holy. Hallowed be thy name, right? Holy. So remembering and honoring those who are saints among us, those beings who have lived their spiritual light. To remember them, to honor them, to celebrate them, to name them. That's what happens on November 1st. And that hallowed eve or hallowed evening was shortened to Halloween. Now, traditionally, it's also taught that All Saints' Day is a way of recognizing the holy within everyone. It's not just that you are the super saint and you get the title, It's also about looking at people the way Spirit sees us, which is seeing the light within, knowing that that divine spark is within, taking a day to truly appreciate the sacredness of life in each one of us. There's another holiday that happens this time of year, Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead. Another holiday that honors and celebrates the lives of those who have gone before, the lives of those who have departed. And yes, there's a sense of grieving or loss, for we're remembering people that maybe were dear to us, but we're also remembering our ancestors. We're going back in time across all cultures. There is a place and a time and a way to celebrate the lives of those who came before us, those that we come from. And so again, it's this full circle, this full cycle of life. The birth, the life, the death, the rebirth. It's like nature's seasons. You know, the farmer knows, right? The ground gestates in the winter. Nothing happens that we can see. And yet in the spring, things sprout, and then it grows and is harvested in the summer and the fall. And we once again return to rest. This cycle of nature, this rhythm of nature, is our own. It's our own circle. Margaret Stortz is a minister in Centers for Spiritual Living, retired now, and she wrote that our lives move in a seamless flow of beginnings and endings. Nature knows this and does not fight the passing of the seasons. Why should I? You know, every ending is also a beginning. And so this circle of life never ends. And that is truly what we're looking at when it comes to this time of year, this turning point tonight between the summer and the winter. We've been through fall, but yet it's all about the light and the dark. Now, it's human nature to want to bring light to the darkness. Most of us walk into a dark room, we flip the light on, yes? If we're out in our driveway at night to get something out of the car and the street lights aren't on, there's a little flashlight on your phone. You've used that, right? We want to bring light to where we are. We want to know. We don't want to walk through the unknown. And it's that line, that mystery of the unknown, along with the clarity of the known, that we are always dancing in between, right? We have our favorite things, our favorite restaurants, our favorite people, our favorite place to be on Sunday morning. And then there's all that other stuff in the world that we don't know about. And we venture out. We take a chance. We meet someone new. We're willing to say hello. We're willing to try something different. It's a dance between the known and the unknown, between the very human need for security and the mystery and the call of the divine, the spiritual nature that must grow. That too is the truth of us. We want warmth when it's cold outside. We want to build the fire or turn the heater on or add another blanket. It's our nature to find comfort and safety that takes us beyond our fears or our discomfort with the unknown or the unfamiliar. Now, it's easy to see Halloween as a kid's holiday, right? The kids, we do this for the kids, right? We dress up for the kids and we have candy for the kids. And how many of you buy a bag of candy that's just for you in case they don't all show up? You'll have something that you actually like that you can snack on all night. See, you know who you are. I read that there's a child in each of us trick-or-treating, always looking for the brightly lit front porch. Right? I can feel that. I'm absolutely looking for that brightly lit front porch. Why? Because there are goodies behind that door. Kids live in this state of expectancy. There's something good going to happen tonight. And if there's tricks, it's only because I'm the one pranking someone else, right? That's the mentality of the children. It usually works out that way. But we want to move towards the light. We want We want what's behind the door. Ernest Holmes actually says we are best living our best life when we live in an expectancy of good and a recognition of plenty. You know, the house that has the big candy bars. Yeah, See, I know, you search those out, right? And every year you remember which one it was, right? Yeah, So a little girl comes to the front door all dressed up with her little trick-or-treat bag and knocks on the door, and the door opens, and she says, "Trick or treat," and the lady reaches in and puts M&Ms in her bag. And her mom nudges her and says, "What do you say?" She says, "I love you." And her mom says, "You're supposed to say Happy Halloween." And she turns and looks at her mother and says, "But Mommy, she gave me M&Ms. I love her." And isn't that what goodness and plenty is all about? It's love in expression. It is that exchange, that connection, that feeling of community, that place of fulfillment and joy. That is our home. That is the hearth within us. So as adults, we celebrate Halloween a little differently. Now, some of us dress up. Some of us eat candy. Some of us don't wait for Halloween to do either of those things. But we also do this thing where we laugh at our fears, right? Why else do we go to Halloween Haunt or the Corn Maze or watch back-to-back horror flicks in a dark room with a bowl of popcorn? It's to scream and then laugh. I don't ever get to the laugh part. I just scream. You will not find me doing any of those things on Halloween. But Stephen King said that we write stories about the scary things in order to help us manage the real ones. And you think about that, right? So we use this holiday to laugh at our fears. Harry Potter, there's a spell called Ridiculous. And that's what you shout at the boogeymen that come out of the closet to make them go away. Laugh at your fear. So we put on our masks or we try on a costume. And when we do it with a sense of curiosity and fun and exploration, it's a positive thing, right? It's how the kids do it. They look at all those hangers and just see all different lives all lined up that they can pick and choose from. And as adults, we forget we have that many choices, right? We tend to wear what we wear. We tend to be who we are. But sometimes we use masks or costumes to hide behind. And sometimes we put them on out of habit. Was there a time in your life when you felt like you were living someone else's life because that's what you were supposed to do? So you wore the corporate clothes and you went in 9 to 5 to whatever that desk job was that your dad said you should take because it pays well, when really all you wanted to do was go join the commune and sing songs and learn how to play your guitar better. We wear costumes and masks for different reasons. But no matter why we start wearing them, we always have an opportunity to choose whether or not to continue. We always have an opportunity to see what we've chosen before and decide if that's really who we are. In other words, trying all those things on helps us not only to know what doesn't fit, it also helps us to know the truth of who we are. It helps us decide how we really want to be in the world. So you leave that corporate job, you take your music lessons, you get in the RV and you travel for a while, or you backpack all around Europe. You do it your way. And this holiday is a celebration of that. It's a celebration of what is holy within you, what your wholeness is. The scary parts, the funny parts, the sweet parts, the dark parts. It's all you, and it's all good. And there's a recognition of the abundance of that good in your life when you are living true to yourself. Scott Avery is a minister with Science Mind. And he writes that about trick or treat. He says the biggest trick we play on ourselves is the illusion that we are separate from our spirit or separate from each other. We put on masks, we play various roles, but we can treat ourselves to truth, that we are Spirit's living enterprise. We are love's expression. We are life's point of creation and creativity. That is the truth that treats us back into wholeness. One life. We are that life. It is us. In 1959, at the Christ Church of Religious Science, now known as Harmony Center for Spiritual Living in Whittier, Ernest Holmes was speaking at the dedication of the church. And you can actually hear the whole dedication at the Science of Mind archives. You can download the recording. It's not a great recording, which is why we're not playing it this morning. It helps to listen to it 4 or 5 times because there's squeaking and scratching. It was recorded on wax and then transferred to vinyl and then transferred to tape or some system like that. It was very creative. But you can hear his voice and you can hear what he says. And he starts off by talking about the dedication of the church. And he says, we're here to dedicate this church, this building. Now, it's beautiful. It's a miracle. But that's not the church. That's not the purpose. That's not why we're here. We're here for what happens inside the church. The power of the church is you and your minister. And the weaving together of those threads of consciousness into something that is supportive. A single thread is very weak, but woven together, there's strength. He said it's not because we're more spiritual than other paths. There are many beautiful religions in the world. We're not more spiritual. We don't have the answer. But what we do have is the power of co-joining our consciousness with the one mind. In other words, what we teach is that the consciousness of the all is the consciousness that we use. And that we are a teaching and practicing order. Not a preaching order, not a proselytizing order, but a teaching and practicing. In other words, we each practice this philosophy. He says it's not that we have that great of a theology. He says, I don't know that it's worth a nickel. He said about his own philosophy. But the power of knowing the oneness that we are with Spirit is where our truth lies. With the Father of all, the Mother of all creation, begetting in each one of us that citadel of spiritual truth within. The secret of the eternal is God and I are one. Now, he ended his talk, as most of us do, by restating what he knew to be true in his own heart, that God and I are one, that I live my life with gratitude, with a song of praise, with a union of effort, in other words, always working with Spirit, one enveloping light of consciousness. And there he paused. And then he said, I see it. And he paused again. And he said, oh God, the veil is thinned between. We do mingle with the hosts of heaven. I see it. And I shall speak no more. And he sat down. This is his cosmic, conscious experience that we quote often about the veil being thin. He did interviews on it later in his life. He originally thought that it wasn't something you should talk about. People wouldn't understand. So he wasn't going to talk about it. But as he was nearing the end of his life, this was in 1959. He died in 1960, I believe. he started organizing things so people would know, would have his legacy, would understand the way his mind worked. So he lived with George Bendel at the time, a colleague and friend. George had moved into Ernest's house when his wife Hazel had died. So Ernest and George lived together. So George drove him home. And this is what George wrote afterwards. He said, Ernest settled himself in his favorite brown leather chair, thinking quietly. At last he admitted that he had experienced the highest degree of illumination he had ever known. While I was talking, I had the semblance of everything turning into a sort of shimmering light, and I imagined myself, or maybe I was, as though severed from my body, looking down at myself talking and feeling this thing. I actually had the feeling I was part of the stars, that I was a part of everything, that I was a part of the whole movement, the push and pull of the universe, but with a greater sense of self-awareness. I thought I'd had cosmic conscious experiences long before, but now I know this is truly what it is. He said, there was a complete and total recognition that there is no death, nothing but eternal life, no sense of any mistake in my past, only an instantaneous recognition of this experience and expression as an individual. But, he added, however you say it, this kind of thing is usually misunderstood. You can't tell people about it. George thought, maybe you could and should. He also wrote, all who were there remember it as unforgettable. Some claiming to hear music, others seeing an aura around Holmes as he became visibly overcome and seemingly mesmerized at the end of his speech. The veil is very thin. That line between what is seen and what is not seen, what is known and what is not known, what is alive on this plane and what is not, is very thin. And what that says to me, whether you believe in reincarnation or that Earth is all there is, or wherever you are on that spectrum of life, it's all life. And the division we have between what we think is real and not real is a blurry line in our own minds. We've all had experiences of feeling someone in the room before we saw them, or having that sense that someone is looking at you and looking up and finding that to be true. Or we've had a sense that there's an instant energetic connection with someone that turns out to be a best friend, a spouse, a loved one, that turns out to be a true connection that is instantaneous. There is something that we do not see, and it is just as much life as this physical form. And so this All Hallows Eve, allow yourself to be mesmerized by that sacred bonfire. Whether you see it in the flame of a jack-o'-lantern or a fire in your own fireplace, know that the spark of that fire you have also within you, in your own heart, on your own hearth. Eastern philosopher wrote that consciousness is the inner spark or inner link in us, the golden link which links the highest and most illumined part of our consciousness with our lowest and most unillumined part. It is the connecting link between heaven and earth. So let that fire warm you, light the room that you are in, show you the way through the darkness of winter. For truly spring will come. All of life is in the seen and the unseen. It is in you, it is in me, it is in all of us. Namaste. So join me in a moment of prayer. Breathing into that heart space where that eternal flame flickers. Letting go of every idea of what life is or isn't. And being aware of the breath, the heartbeat, this body we inhabit. And then bringing our awareness to the love that we feel, the beauty that we know, the wisdom and clarity that comes to us, those things unseen which are also us. And let us remember and proclaim that there is only one life, one power, one energy of all things. And that life is good. That life is God. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. It is the only life we live. In all of its many forms and seasons, on all of the levels of emotion and thinking and feeling and reacting, all that we see with our five senses and all that we know with the heart is simply life and more life, and it is good and very good. So we celebrate this spark of life, not only in ourselves, but in each other. We celebrate the spark of life that is the life of those who have gone on before us. We acknowledge and tap into the love of those who are missing this year in physical form. And celebrate their memory in the words we hear in our own mind, in the things that we know they would have laughed at, in the joys that we shared together, in the memories that bubble up unexpectedly. We know this to be all of life, and it is good and very good. And so I speak a word of gratitude. I speak a word of praise. I speak a word of love for all that is, for all that we are, for all that we are discovering and becoming, for all of the mystery yet to be revealed and that which remains hidden. Because I know it is all God. I know we are blessed. And in this blessing, we let go. We simply let God unfold as life here and now and always. And so it is. All right. Let's have a little, oh, you know what? Let's do our affirmation and then we'll have a little song. That's today. Inside your bulletin. I'm going to say it first for our folks at home, and you will repeat each line after me. I welcome winter's gifts. I am warmed by Spirit's eternal flame within me. And so it is. Kat, come on up.
So this song that I chose, it's one of my favorite songs, first of all. And some of you know that I come from Upper Michigan. I'm just an old farm girl. And in October, which is my favorite month, when you're farming, you wait, well, you don't wait, but there comes the harvest moon. It's the last full moon in October. And if by the time the harvest moon comes, and you don't have every last thing in from the field, it's gone. You know, the frost is gonna come and you're gonna lose it. So you have to make sure everything comes in from that last harvest. And there's a feeling that I get about this, and it happens every year. It's sort of nostalgic, it's sort of romantic, but there's a feeling of completion that I always feel at this time of the year, like all is well and all is good, and things feel balanced and correct. This may be a throwback to the farming, I'm not really sure, but this is a song that I found long ago. It's from the 70s, and it speaks to the harvest, and I hope you get that same feeling that I get. Go ahead. Come a little closer. Hear what I have to say. Just like children sleeping, we could dream this night away. But there's a full moon rising. Let's go dancing in the night. We know where the music's playing. Let's go out and feel the night. Yes, because I'm still in love with you. I wanna see you dance again. I'm still in love with you on this harvest moon. When we were strangers, I watched you from afar. So lovely. When we were lovers, I loved you with all my heart. Yes, I did. But now it's getting late, and the moon is climbing high, so high. I wanna celebrate, see it shining in your eyes. Because I'm still in love with you. I wanna see you dance again. I'm so in love with you on this harvest moon. Harvest moon, harvest moon. That's a dandy.
Thank you to our resident romantic dancers, the Graphs. Thank you. That was lovely. Okay. Wow. All right. So let's take a moment in this place of gratitude and joy to remember that our contributions are what keep this community moving and growing, and that is who we are, and what we see every week is each and every one of you contributing in some way. And for those of you online, I want to thank you too for your ongoing contributions. We are able to be here, keep the lights on, and show up for a really good time, because things are just going to get better and better all the time, aren't they? So if you have a contribution today, there are baskets in the back of the room that you may use on your way out. But if you'd like to take it in your hand for a moment and say with me our prosperity affirmation: divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am prosperous now. Yes, we are. Okay, a little bit about what's happening. We still have openings on our counting team. Now, I know that many of you out there are prosperity thinkers. I've seen it with my own eyes. And I know that you are just looking for a way to contribute to your community in a way that makes a difference. So if you are a prosperity thinker and you have one Sunday a month that you could help us with the count, with a blessing and accounting of all of the gifts that are given to the community so that we might do our very human banking, we would welcome you to our counting team. And if you're interested, talk to Graham. He can tell you how it is. He won't scare you away or anything. He makes it really easy. There are like fill-in-the-blank lines. You can do this, and we would appreciate it. It's part of our abundance that we all contribute time, talent, and treasure. So if you feel so moved, please talk to us. I want to remind you that our beloved Bill West, his service will be this coming Thursday at noon. This November 4th. It's at Todd's Memorial Chapel in Pomona. There are flyers out in the foyer. If you'd like to attend, please do. Bill is a longtime, very much loved member of this community. He and his wife, Virgie, have been here forever. And it would be good to get together to celebrate his life with those of us who knew and appreciated him. So do come on Thursday at 4 o'clock in Pomona. There's an informal gathering at the pizza place right after, where we can continue telling stories, which is always a lovely way to remember someone. I would also like to remind you that next Sunday is the time change. Oh, remember that? If we could turn back time, well, we are. Saturday night, you're going to go back an hour. We can all rock out to share. Just make sure, if the thing is, if you put the clock back an hour, so instead of 6, it's 5, that means when you come to church at 10, it'll really be 9. Or when you come at 10:35, it'll really be 9:35, and you'll be early. See how that works? So don't forget, change your clocks to next Saturday. And I want to let you know, too, that one of the outcomes of Village Venture is that we are teaming up with the Children's Foundation of America to do some Christmas donating. In other words, they work with foster children, and when they're in foster families and also as they age out of the system. And so they do a Christmas drive every year. We'll have a donation box out here in the lobby coming up. And it's an opportunity to, when you do your shopping for your littles, that you pick up a couple things for someone else, and we can do something to really make a difference in the lives of kids that are looking for a family. Okay? So more information on that will be coming. I just wanted to give you a heads up that we're on our way. What else do we have? Shelley wants to come up. Shelley's coming up. Say hello to your board treasurer.
Anything to take this off. We have an anniversary in our presence. Did everybody know that? Because you do now. Miss Reverend Tracy. Yay! She is celebrating 5 years at the center with us, where she began her talk with, I believe, let go and let it flow.
Yes.
Don't ask how I got that information. It was tricky. We're going to have a really big, nice, beautiful shindig for her in 2 weeks. So 2 Sundays from today, which is 14th. November 14th. So November 14th. Now, we're going to do this as a catered event. And so in order to make sure we have enough food for everybody, there is a sign-up sheet outside in the lobby. Please be sure to put your name on it. Your name's not on it, you don't eat, but you can still come by. If we have any scraps, we'll set them aside. You'll be all right. So please be sure to sign up so we have an idea of how many will be at the event with us. So again, November 14th, it will be right after the services. And please put your name on the sign-up sheet, and we will all celebrate together.
Love a good party. Thank you. Sometimes it feels like every minute of 5 years, and most of the time it's like, really? 5 years? I mean, Ed, can you believe 5 years ago we had breakfast in that restaurant in Upland? What's it called? And we signed the papers, and wow. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. This has just been the love and ride and joy of my life. Thank you. Yeah. All right, my friends. So we have practitioners here today. Would you come up front? We've got a little fall wardrobe going on here. I like the black and orange. I should stand next to you, Brad. Yes. Or I turn my hat back on. I should turn my hat back on. Is it on? Okay, it's off. Squeeze it once. Okay, it's on. It's hard to tell in the light. Well, these are your consciousness lights right here. Diane and Mary and Brad, you know we have other practitioners. They're not here every Sunday, but they are always here in consciousness, and they are what keep us lifted up. So we just know that you are truly the light of the world, that light of spirit shines within you, within each one of us, and together we have this gorgeous bonfire that is going to pull people in from everywhere. Anyone who is looking for light and warmth and sanctuary will find it here, and it's all because of you. So if you will, please stand, move out to the edges, make a non-touching COVID protocol circle, and although you may not sing out loud, you may dance or shimmy to your neighbor across the way, and let's rock out to Eddie Watkins Jr.
Take a look at the person next to you and say, God loves you and I love you too. Now feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat.